Are you wondering what it's like raising kids in Mexico? On today's podcast, we're about to tell you our journey at raising two little boys, a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old here in beautiful Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. So we'll talk about our experience thus far with schooling, activities, safety concerns, etc. Just overall our experience, if it's been good, bad, or
ugly.
So stay tuned for that. Let's get into it.
What is More Life Diaries? Reflections of the past. Life in the moment. Manifestations of the future. This is our journey. The More Life Diaries podcast.
Bienvenidos, amigos, and welcome back to another episode of the More Life Diaries podcast. And thank you so much for joining us on a new episode where we'll be talking about our overall experience and journey with raising kids in Puerto Vallarta. We've been here for 6 months now, just over 6 months actually. So we're still fresh, but we do have a lot to talk about and our experience thus far. Before we get started on today's topic, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. That's the best way to help us. It's free. You just have to go up there or down there and hit that subscribe button. So click that for us, please, and thank you. Let's get into it.
So overall, I would say that our experience so far in terms of kids and raising our children here has been very positive. I just feel, and I know we've said this probably a million times on this podcast, that the culture here is a lot more warm when it comes to kids. It makes having kids easier. Like there's just stuff, if you go to a restaurant, there's often a play area there, or sometimes a nanny there. So you can either, drop your kids off and go enjoy a nice dinner together, or even in a situation where you can see them playing, keep an eye on them yourself, but they're entertained.
There's always, it almost seems like there's a lot that's tailored around families and kids. There are still things that are, for adults only, especially when you're talking Old Town or Centro. But there are many neighborhoods where you go to any restaurants and there's a big play place for kids.
So one thing, so we live in Cinco de Diciembre. It is still technically downtown. It's a busy area. It's not the type of place where you would necessarily, or at least on our street, where you would let your kids just kind of play around in the street. But there are a lot of neighborhoods in Puerto Vallarta and in a lot of areas in Mexico where they have these things called cotos, which are private areas, gated communities, where you could literally just let your kid out. There's parks often in them and different amenities that you would have for your kids to play in, and lots of families there. So we know several families that live in these types of neighborhoods, and they love it for their kids. Their kids are a bit older and they just want to go out and play, and they can. It's safe, it's gated, there's playgrounds, there's often, neighborhoods, extracurriculars that are organized together with the families where they'll bring in a soccer coach, for example. So it's great for that kind of, if you want to have that kind of neighborhood and community.
And I also just want to take it back to our time in Toronto. And one of the reasons we left is that we didn't feel that importance towards children in the city. There are certain neighborhoods where, they're more kid friendly. There's kids running around and stuff like that. But the reason we loved Toronto pre-pandemic was all of the social activities for kids. For example, we used to frequent the YMCA there, and there was like so many things for kids to do every single day. And with COVID, everything stopped and it was really slow starting back up to the point where we kind of just lost hope that, kids services would go back to as they were pre-pandemic. And as soon as we crossed the border in Mexico, we felt that warmness towards children. The people here would pay attention to them before they even acknowledge us, like rubbing their head. The lady that works at the restaurant would hold Callie, and you just felt that instant warmness and love towards children that we've never felt before, to be honest.
Yeah, it took us a while to get used to. Like one of our friends here was like, "You'll have to get used to people just wanting to hold your kid." And I
Yeah.
was like, "What? Like that's a thing?" And it is absolutely a thing here. So for us, it's a huge factor. Just feeling like we're not an inconvenience. Bringing them into a restaurant, like, oh, these people are going to have kids screaming or anything. It's never like that here. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's funny that when you bring kids to a restaurant that have kids things to do and keep them busy, they don't scream as much.
Yeah.
The parents can eat like quietly, and the kids can go have a crazy time in the little play places or trampolines, whatever it may be. So that's definitely something that we love, and we've talked to many families that came from mostly Canada as well. And that's like one of their main things that they talk about, or that they'll always kind of post on social media. Like everything is kid friendly for kids from every ages, not only 1 to 5 year olds. It's like, no, teens have stuff to do too.
There's lots of different groups and extracurriculars available. And there's even, we haven't checked it out yet, but kids movie showing times where they actually, like, it's a kids movie, but they take little breaks so that the kids can run around, and they have a whole play area. They have comfy, beanbag chairs for them to sit in. It's really taken into consideration what a kid would need to get through a 2-hour movie without, melting down.
Yeah. And I mean, I need the break. It'll definitely be good for me to to head over there. And yeah, a place we frequent a lot in PV is Lacumbe Cafe. So shout out to Lacumbe. They have an amazing play place for kids. I'd say like kids under 10, 8 to 10 years old, like a bouncy castle, a little room where they play movies and they have like activities, and the staff there that are looking after the kids, which is another thing. A lot of these play places have staff so that they watch your kids while you enjoy your lunch or dinner. Is amazing there. Like
they really play and interact with the kids.
They're not scared to pick your kid up and toss them in the bouncy castle, which we like. Like in Canada,
it's like it's
like a Sioux culture. Like everyone is looking to find like the issues or to confront other people about stuff. Here it's just like, no, I'll toss you into the bouncy castle, and it is what it is if you get hurt. Jokes aside, like we do appreciate that they're not scared to actually play and interact with the kids the way that the kids crave like that interaction.
Yeah. Another big factor is extracurricular activities. There is an endless amount of extracurricular activities to choose from here. And the great thing about it is they're very affordable. Whereas in Toronto, I feel like you basically can choose one thing because it's going to be like one thing that you can afford to put your kid in.
Choose one sport this year.
Yeah.
That's it.
But here, I mean, it's more about how much time you have. Can you make the time to do all these activities? The money isn't as much of an issue. It's very affordable. Things are close by. So we had our son in Taekwondo. There's also a sports field that we've mentioned before with, soccer, basketball, boxing, gymnastics, a bunch of different things. There's dance schools. There's, drawing class. There's an endless amount of things. It's very easy to sign your kid up. You don't need to fill out endless paperwork. Kind of just show up, say you want to go, make the payment, write maybe a little short, the kid's name at most.
And a lot of the stuff too is drop-in, so that you can drop into many different types of classes or sports practices, for example, and see what your kid connects with the most. And that's something that we want to do a little bit more to see like what Basti really clicks with. But for example, we have him in drawing class on Saturdays, which he absolutely loves. And yeah, it's just like you show up and you pay for a month or you pay for a class, and then they get to draw for like a couple hours. And it frees up our time to be able to do some stuff, whether it's grocery shopping or just hanging out. And just in general, like having the kids in the city, obviously we live in Cinco de Diciembre, which is considered like downtown. So it isn't the most kid-friendly place that you could live in Puerto Vallarta, but overall, Everything is very accessible, easy to get to. There's parks everywhere. We're a few minute walk from the beach, and that's really what we wanted when we moved here. Check out our house tour episode where we do go over some of our criterias of where we wanted to live. But yeah, the kids are like beach bums like us. They definitely love going to the beach. That was our favorite activity to do in Toronto. So we wanted to be close proximity to the beach so that, if ever we get bored or on a daily basis, we could just walk down the street and bring toys, and the kids have like an hour or two of just quiet time where they get to be peaceful and
Play in the
waste their
sand,
energy.
play in the water. We relax. It's the easiest thing for us. It keeps them. We're all happy at the beach. There's a little bit of a mess when we get back, but it's all good.
Yeah, definitely a lot of sand in the house. So I don't know, like it's not something that we bother to think about, but definitely like living in close proximity to the beach, there's sand in everything. There's a lot of sand in the house, constantly sweeping, and even after sweeping, just sand appears out of thin air.
It's
I
like
swear
it
it just
grows.
comes through the windows. Like, other than that, what would you say would be like your absolute favorite thing about raising kids here in PV?
My absolute favorite. I just feel like there's so much more options here. Like
Yeah.
the weather is such that you can always be outside. The kids like being outside. It's easy to just, hit the beach or, drive a little bit and go to a different beach, different activities. And there's such a good community here of parents that it's easy to find friends for them,
Yeah.
as well as just activities and that type of thing. It's
For sure.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, like when we first got here, we met people right away, but you're almost expecting it there to be like a little lull where you don't know anyone. It's going to take time to meet people. But with like social media, Facebook, Instagram, it's really easy to connect with people. And even to this day, we're still connecting with people. Like messaging us on Instagram, like, hey, I watch your videos. Like I have kids too. Let's connect. Let's hang out. So we've definitely, because we've put ourselves out there a little bit, we've been able to meet a lot of parents, and some of which like we have a great connection with and we hang out quite often.
I would say even before like the YouTube stuff, like we met people just by going on Facebook groups. And then you get invited to the WhatsApp group, and there's just so many parents here. I think that we're way more social, especially as a family unit,
Yeah.
here than we were in Toronto. It's just easy. It seems to be just easy to make a plan, like, hey, you want to go grab breakfast or coffee,
Yeah.
and then you do it. I like back home, it was like, yeah, we'll grab coffee. How's January looking for you?
Yeah, like you have, like, let me pencil you in. It was almost impossible to get together with other friends that had kids
or didn't have kids. Like a lot of our
Yeah.
friends didn't have kids, and it was still hard to work that out.
on weekends or
Yeah.
whatever. So it just seems like here, the people live their life at a slower pace a little bit. Whereas back home, there's no like time off. There's no time to relax or chill. So just, yeah, the time that people make here and the value they put in spending time with other people. Like a lot of us are foreigners here, and we've kind of gone through that process of leaving our home country. So we do have stuff that is in common with each other. So it's just nice to share those experiences and spend time together and have the kids obviously have a great time together.
Right.
We had a very good question. So we asked you guys, what would you want to know about our life here in Mexico? So we got a few very good questions, and one that's related to today's topic, raising a family here in Puerto Vallarta. So Sherry asked, how do you feel about Bassie's education here in Puerto Vallarta? So obviously before coming here, education was a big factor for us. And I'd have to say that I'm pleasantly surprised. And you want to talk about like the education Bassie was getting back home?
Yes. So before we came here, Basti was in a holistic learning pod. So it was a small group of basically it was homeschooling with a professional teacher there, or a guide, as she called herself, and a group of maybe 7 kids learning in a home. And it was, a mixture of, I would say, like Waldorf, Montessori, unschooling. So we're kind of different. Like we already weren't putting him into the traditional school system. We wanted something a little bit different, a little bit more child led. So for us coming here, our concern was, is that type of education available, or will he have to go straight into this sort of traditional sit at a desk and look at your teacher for 6 hours type thing? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that he was already used to this a little bit less structured way of learning. And he's also in a nature school before that. So I think that was our number one concern. Is there homeschooling pods? Is there nature school? Is there Montessori? So we were lucky to find a Montessori. And overall, we've been very happy with it. It's a small group, small classes, mixed age, which I think is really important and can make a huge difference. And he's learning Spanish. He's learning the basics that we want him to learn. He's learning to be more independent and do things. And for us, for what we prefer in a pedagogy, that's great. We're very happy with it. There is also the different options. There's private schools for a lot of foreigners choose to put their kids into, American and British schools, and those are more formal. You sit in your desk and you learn, you take different subjects. I've spoken with parents, I've spoken with teachers there, and great things. Like if Bassi was to turn around in a few years and say, I want to become a doctor, and so he wants to be more academic, it's a great option. I know that they follow either the British, American, Canadian, what do you call that? Curriculums. So that they'll be competitive. They want to return home and take those SATs or tests or apply to university. So that's an option. It's great. And because the community of foreigners are growing, there's other schools popping up to teach within that curriculum, but maybe taking into consideration certain concerns that foreigners had when they left their countries and what was being taught in the school systems there. So there are different things growing as the community grows, different things becoming available. So a lot of options depending on what your concerns are, what your preferences are for kids.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many options available for education. For us, the most important thing during this transition period is just to see Bassi adapt to the new surroundings, the new language, make friends, and just see that growth. And to be honest, like since we've gotten here, not only just physically has Bassi grown into like a full boy, where he was like almost a little baby. Like
he was like a little more toddlerish when we got here.
Yeah, we look at pictures and we're like, this was 6 months ago. Like it looks like it was 2 years ago. But we've seen that development in his language, English language and Spanish language. And Bassi's like, he won't necessarily talk to us in Spanish, but for some reason, when he talks to Callie, he talks to him in Spanish.
And it's really good. And we've also heard him making friends, at beaches or wherever we are. And if they're Mexican, Spanish speaking, he speaks Spanish. Like he's just very secretive about it with us.
And in terms of like reading and writing, we've seen progress in that, and numbers, those types of things. So it's really interesting that even though he's not in a traditional school system, he is still learning those things almost like naturally. They do exercises at school as well, but he loves to learn. Like the best part about him going somewhere is just kind of like sitting down and getting to learn a new thing that he's not used to.
Yeah, and the school here, they seem to, it's different wherever you go. I'm sure in Canada there's things that they learn as well, but they learn traditional dancing, which Bassi's really into. They have yoga class, which he really loves as well. So there's different things that he's exposed to that he's really enjoying, and which is great. Like we love seeing that, and we just want him basically to be exposed to different things and to find out what he really is interested in, what he really wants to learn about and to understand how he learns best, which is our concern right now, for him to learn how to learn and the best way for him to learn how to think for himself. So
and be confident to like gain the confidence to be able to tackle on anything that comes his way, and have the confidence to also like meet new people or have new experiences.
And I think Montessori is really great for that because it does teach them to be independent. So with that sense of independence comes the confidence in being able to do things for himself. So we've seen that. I've seen him, folding his laundry. Again, Bassi doesn't like to tell us he knows things. So you have to kind of catch him in the act when he thinks you're not looking. But he can do more than he lets on. And you see the confidence coming with that. And even his, language acquisition and making friends.
And he came home one day wanting to do the dishes really bad. Like there's no dishes to be done. And he was like, I do the dishes.
Wants to do the dishes, wants to fold the laundry.
If we want him to clean his room, it's not even a debate. Like he just kind of does it. If we want him to brush his teeth, he just does it, or get dressed. Sometimes he puts up a little bit of a fight, but nothing serious. So he's very easygoing. And I don't know if that's kind of like the education that he's gotten thus far, or that's just his personality. But regardless, it's something that we want to develop further.
He's also really independent when it comes to learning new things. Like if he's interested, I mean, I feel like this is true about all children. Like they do have a desire to learn. You just have to let them find the things that they're really interested in. He went through a phase where he was super into the globe, and he learned all the countries, their flags, other facts,
their capitals, food,
the order of size comparison, whatever,
of like really towers, like literally everything.
Deep dive into the world. So we like to see him find those things that he's really interested in. We like to be able to foster that.
And he retains information really well too, like because he's so into it. And he just wants to learn those things. He remembers everything about solar system, countries, etc.
Dinosaurs. So we just kind of like get out of the way and let him do that. A lot of times we learn things from that. And I think it's a more authentic way for him to learn than telling him, okay, like you're 5, so you need to learn about pioneers and Arctic animals. If he's not into that, like I want him to be into it and learn, and that can just kind of lead him into what his passions are.
And it's important to note and say that obviously this type of approach isn't for everyone. You might be considering, moving to Puerto Vallarta and want to put your kids in a more kind of academic structured school per se. For us, it's something that we were comfortable with doing from the time we were in Toronto. That's the approach that we wanted to take. That's the approach we've always taken. The more traditional school system made us very uncomfortable. So it really depends on what you're looking for your kids, but definitely Puerto Vallarta, Mexico in general, you do see those options available. There's quite a bit of options. So do your research, use Facebook, use social media to reach out to parents that are here.
And typically I find that parents want to answer those questions if you're coming from somewhere else and say, hey, I'm looking to move here. What are your experiences? What are the options? People are very happy to share that information. That's how we actually met a lot of friends from posting in a homeschool group. And you find other people like you. So
people have been nothing but helpful. Like we haven't reached out to someone and they gave us a cold shoulder or anything. People have been super helpful, nothing but amazing and friendly. And reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns. I mean, we're always here to help. We're always here to answer your questions the best we can based on our experience. We're still babies here in Puerto Vallarta. It's been just over 6 months, 7 months now.
Almost 7.
And we're definitely still in that learning curve, but we've learned and experienced a lot and adapted quite well here.
And most of it positive. So I guess overall, the answer to the question is we are very happy with the education Bassi is getting here. There's lots of different options for education if you're coming here with kids. And that it's, pretty easy to find that information out. You just got to ask in the right channels. So again, Facebook as a starting point, just join some of the Puerto Vallarta Facebook groups. There's parent groups. Someone will probably quickly see you and invite you into a WhatsApp group. That's what happened for us. And then you really get a lot of access to answers and information, secret chats. But honestly, it's a really good community here. And again, there's just a lot of options for education for your kids here and a lot of options for activities.
And the last topic that I kind of want to touch on related to obviously raising a family in Mexico and a big concern for many people is safety. Is it safe here in Mexico? Is it safe here in Puerto Vallarta?
I think we can really only speak to Puerto Vallarta. I don't want to speak for the whole of Mexico.
Yeah.
But here it is very safe. It's known to be safe.
And that's an important point. Like obviously, mainstream media, they kind of paint Mexico with one brush. It's dangerous there in Mexico, or even movies and such. It really depends on where you're moving. Like obviously, if you're looking to move to certain towns or cities within Mexico, just like anywhere you'd move in the world, do your research, look at, crime rate, look at social media, reach out to people who do live there, because obviously the news is not always reliable.
Again, find those Facebook groups. I see this question being asked all the time. Like I'm moving with my family, looking to choose a city. What do you guys recommend for a small family or a family with kids this age or whatever? You'll get tons of answers, tons of options that you can like narrow down the towns that you're looking at. Just reach out. There are communities here everywhere, foreigners who have made that change and have gone through that experience and are happy to share their experiences with you. But overall, like with kids here and safety, like anywhere, obviously our kids are small. We keep an eye on them. We don't let them run around by themselves. They're not traveling, walking to the grocery store, walking to the beach by themselves. We're always with them. But overall, we feel safe here. We're often out at nighttime and there's no safety concerns. There's no scary feelings.
Yeah, we go for walks on the Malecon in the evening
there's
time.
There's lots of families who are also
so many
out
people,
at the stadium as well. There's always kids and families out quite late, and we've never had a concern. And from talking again with a lot of other families, a lot of other foreigners here, they don't have any concerns, like large concerns in terms of safety. It's just the general, you got to watch out for your kids. You have to, be alert like anywhere as a parent. And I think the number one thing I hear about parents in terms of safety concerns is the ocean. The undertow can be pretty serious. So swimming lessons and just general water safety is something that I would say you should prioritize if you're bringing kids here, especially small children.
Many beaches around the city, the waves are always a little bit too aggressive for like our kids. That's why we try to find places that have little inlets or pools where they can go in the water and swim. But definitely the water is probably the biggest safety concern. And I want to make a point to say, like, not only do we have, very little concerns regarding safety, especially because we're just here as a family, kind of like living our life, adapting and being low key. We're not going out and partying and drinking and doing those types of things. So we're just, very low key, kind of doing our own thing. And we haven't even really seen any sort of sketchiness. And we have an eye for that because one, we've traveled before, and two, we've lived in a big city, and specifically in a area of the city where crime is very frequent. Like it was an everyday thing for us.
Sketchiness was at an all-time high when we left.
Yeah, so we're not, from the suburbs where nothing really happens. So we're used to seeing very sketchy things, including death, to be quite honest. So, we haven't seen any sort of sketchiness. Barely any homeless people here. There's obviously a few drunks here and there, but they're just kind of doing their own thing. And yeah, just overall, like no sketchiness at all, no nothing to report on that we felt uncomfortable with. And that's not only here; it's like from our whole travel down from Toronto to here. It was such a smooth process. A lot of people are always in shock that we drove here, and to us, it was like, yeah, we just drove. It was kind of like normal.
Well,
Like,
I was nervous to drive a little bit, and
well, yeah, you were. So was I at the beginning, but having done the trip,
once we were on the road,
Yeah.
and like I was like, wow, it's really, there's not even a lot of traffic. It was really smooth. No one was aggressively driving. The landscape was gorgeous.
yeah,
There was, other than, the abundance of speed bumps and inside cities and stuff like that.
yeah.
It was nice. It was a smooth
Yeah.
ride.
And
Beautiful.
in the United States too, very smooth. That it's not very scenic. Driving through Ohio and all that. Shout out to Ohio. But we had such a great time. And Bassie asks all the time if we can go back and drive through the states again, because he wants to check out Austin and Dallas and Nashville. So he wants to
go back. We all want to go back, to be
Yeah.
honest. We'd love to.
And yeah, that's basically it for raising our kids in Puerto Vallarta. We'll do an update, maybe in 6 months or so to see how things have changed for us. But in terms of what's going on with our family and with us and the channel right now, we're just looking at putting some fun episodes together. We just filmed an episode again at Buena Vista Hotel here.
Oh, it's the first Buenaventura.
Buenaventura, yeah.
But another day pass. Hopefully we get that day pass footage from the first one back.
Yeah.
So we can show you and compare what we'll be doing more.
Yeah.
We'll see it. If you guys like it, let us know. We'd love to do more of those day pass visits.
Yeah, just our channel, More Life Diaries. We're experimenting with different types of videos, vlogs, and we want to talk a little bit about our YouTube journey as well, and day passes and just the podcast. So let us know in the comments what type of content you'd like or that you'd like for us to embark on. This is just kind of something that we love doing and that we're looking at building and definitely creating something of value for you guys, the subscribers. That being said, if you've made it this far in the podcast, hit the subscribe button. Why not? You've made it this far. You've spent 40 minutes with us.
We're best friends now.
Yeah, we're basically best friends. Add us on Instagram, add us on Facebook. And hit the subscribe button. It's free. It helps us greatly. You have no idea. There should be one up here, one down here, one over here. So hit the subscribe button. If you want to donate, go to buymeacoffee.com/morelivediaries. You don't have to. It just helps us creating more content. We put that money towards day passes and trips around the cities. So just a little way to help out, as all of our content is free. And just follow us on social media. If you have Instagram, Facebook, reach out. We'd love to interact with you guys. It's the best part of doing the YouTube channel is how many people that we've met thus far. So looking for more of that in the future. We have our family here in Puerto Vallarta. We're having a great time still after 7 months, and we absolutely love everything about it so far. So thank you so much for tuning in. This is our journey. More Life Diaries. Peace.